Sometimes that happens.
Hello, everyone. Today is the day that you've been waiting for. My name is RJ Redden. If you don't know me, I am a messenger bot madness strategist, and welcome to the Black Belt Bots page. Today's an important day. I'm going to talk about this man next to me in a second. But right now, I want you to know, if you're not watching from the Black Belt Bots page, then I can't see your questions. And I so want to see your questions. So go up into the post. There's a link in there. Hit that link and you'll be right on my page. And that way I can answer your questions and everything else. Also, if you never want to miss another show of mine, it's so easy to never miss one. Just type live in the comments and my bot, Spinning Dragon, will take good care of you. So that's it for the preliminaries. Let's get on with the show. I got to tell you, when I became an entrepreneur, and I've been an entrepreneur not once, my friends, but several times, I've always tried to bootstrap it alone. I've always tried to, you know what? I'm brilliant enough. I can get this, man. I've always tried to have all the ideas, wear all the hats, and struggle out there trying to find people that are going to resonate with the message that I've had. Well, I'll tell you what, finding a community and becoming part of this guy's community has changed my business. And that's why I invited him here today to talk a little bit about what he does. And you know what? I just got to say before we start, Jay, I was super impressed with you the first time that I met you. I was at an event, and it was a Jane Powers event, and Jay was one of the folks speaking. And I'll tell you what, this guy rolls up his own banners afterwards. Okay. This guy pays attention to his friends. This guy is a real person, and he's had real struggles, and he's learned how to solve them. So first off, Jay, hey, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here.
Well, thank you for having me, RJ. That's, by the way, one of the best introductions ever. He rolls up his own banners. That and so much more. Let me tell you, it's I've often described myself as the chef, cook, and bottle washer. All of the above over the past 35 years with my different businesses. So I am not afraid to get my hands dirty. This is true.
Not afraid to get your hands dirty. That's what I love about you. Well, now tell us about the flip side of that. Tell us about, what your journey has been through entrepreneurship. I know you've had, several businesses and lots of success and lots of ups and downs. Can you tell us kind of how it's been?
Well, that's a big question, my dear, but I'll give you some context so people who don't know. So first and foremost, I run 3 specific different brands, one of which is called The Creator's Code. That's a company that I still operate and run, and that's I've owned that for 30 years. And we do deep personal transformation work. That content is licensed to partners of mine, so they handle most of the operations, but that's still a significant business revenue stream for me. My next brand is something called Mastermind to Millions, where we help coaches, authors, experts position, launch, and lead their own mastermind groups. And this third brand, which developed very organically, actually, it wasn't, I'd like to say it was like my brilliant Dr. Evil plan, but it wasn't in any way, shape, or form. All it was thinking it all the way through of I don't want to go it alone. I know if I'm going to move into this online digital marketing world, I need to have partners, and I need to learn, and I need to be able to connect with people. And so I started doing my own, what I called joint venture summits. We did them in Banff, Alberta, so we called it the Banff Summit. My naming conventions are exceptional. Big marketing hook there, by the way. So that evolved over a span of time to a whole bunch of people wanting to participate in this invite-only, pretty high-level summit, but they just weren't ready. So then we designed this process called JVology Live, which supports people to organize their businesses around joint ventures, understand what they are, meet 100 joint venture partners in a compressed area in an environment where people are open to those conversations. And it's one of my favorite programs. And literally over 30 years, all the things I've designed, I have designed, and we deliver and license the better part of 60 or 70 programs. And the JVology live program is one of my faves because you can quite literally, you can see people's brains explode when they figure out it's like, really, I could just do shit with people that I really like and support good work in the world and work less and make way more money. Like it's just like their heads explode. And that's what we do. So we help people do what they love with people that they care about, making great contribution, working less hours, not the grind bullshit, which I'm totally anti-grind, and make phenomenal money. That didn't answer your question at all. I got totally sidetracked.
You did. I was completely prepared, though. You know what? This chair has a seat belt, and I buckled it before the show. So,
okay. So the reason I started there. So let me answer your question. I'm sorry. The reason I started there is that if I started answering that question without people knowing the background, it sounds a little bit goofy. So, in a nutshell, my entrepreneurial journey has been full of amazing accomplishments. And shit shows on wheels and everything in between. And one of the things that you can always count on me is I will give you the straight goods about the good, bad, and the ugly and all those pieces. But there's been one divine, one golden thread that I have been blessed with, which is I discovered my purpose early, which is about contribution, consciousness, serving, supporting people to live their mission. So even when it got hard for me, it wasn't a question of like, oh shit, there's an easier way to make money. For me, it was always a question of this is my purpose, so I'd best be figuring it out. So I think that I didn't have that, what many people have is, that back door. It's like, well, if this doesn't work, I'm going. That was just never a choice for me. So that was the good news. The bad news is that I started from absolutely nothing, and I bet the farm at least 4 or 5 times before we got to a spot where we were doing, strong, consistent 7 figures a year, and we, had some version of, entrepreneurial success. But that took me 15 years of slugging it out primarily on my own. And as I've gotten a little older and a little bit wiser, instead of doing it on my own, it's like, how do we do this together? And that moved from it taking 15 years to break 7 figures in annual sales to doing it quite literally, if we count in Canadian dollars. And just for the purpose of this conversation, we will. I've done $1 million in a weekend, in 3 days. Now, in the US dollars, that means I made $17.14. But in Canadian dollars, it was big, man.
That's so beautiful. You talk about slugging it out, and I know that that's where I have been, and I know that that's where a lot of people are. The thought that you need to build your programs, do your marketing, do the organization part, wear 17 hats all by yourself. And when I went, I went to one of Jay's conferences. It was a 3-day conference in Phoenix last September. And let me tell you, this guy worked it hard for 3 days. It was amazing. Like most of the time, you go to conferences and you're kind of like, I suppose I'll listen and maybe I'll learn a few things or whatever. No. Like Jay's, you really need to bring a notebook, kids. And I of course have my iPad because I'm fancy, but I learned so many things about the value of connection and relationship at that conference. And so talk to me about some of the ways that you've formed partnerships and JVology in general. What is it? How do you connect, and what's the premise? What's the purpose?
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, I'll start with the tagline of JVology. And the tagline is JVology, the perfect mix of people, fun, and profit. So it's those 3 things weaving together, and frankly, in that order. If we get the people part right, and we actually are doing something that lifts our spirits, that's truly fun for us and the people that we engage with, the profit follows. Like if we have it in that right order. When I see people struggling and grinding, trying to make 5 frickin' cents, it's usually they're in pain. They're focused on their thing, not their clients. And they've got the model bass backwards, like completely. So really, it is this idea. And by the way, people sometimes say Javology, it's JVology, and it's a mashup of the word mixology. So I don't know if any of you ever happened to pour a drink in your life, but that's a little bit of an art form in and of itself. So it's JVology, the perfect mix of people, fun, and profit, twist on mixology. And I might occasionally at my courses have a glass of wine while I'm on stage. It's one of the it's one of the few events where it's like, you know what, if I was at home, I'd be having wine. So I'm doing it here. And if you don't like it, just disc. But I'll buy you wine, just to be clear. I'm not above bribery. So that's its essence. And really what our stand is this. People struggle too much with their businesses. The stats are quite astounding. In fact, I'm doing a live stream a little bit later this afternoon, which I'd love for anybody listening here to come join us on, and I'll dive into this in more depth and detail in that live stream. But here's the honest to goodness truth, is that Forbes just published an article that 80% of small businesses that start are done in 18 months. That used to be like 5 years and those sorts of things. The recent studies are 18 months. That's horrific. Now, let's add another layer of horror to this. By the way, this is the uplifting segment of the show, just so everybody knows that the average, if you take 100 people in the United States, line them up and see who's clinically depressed. See, I told you, it's the optimistic version. At any point in time of the average cross-section of society, 7% will be clinically depressed. Now, sometimes people say, well, no, isn't that number 65? No, that when you hear that, that's people have been touched by depression. That's over the span of their lifetime. This is at a snapshot. That's what it is. But if you're an entrepreneur, that number is like 34%. We are 5 times more likely to be clinically depressed than the average. So think that all the way through. It's like, number one, the businesses are failing and are a piece of shit 80% of the time. A third of us are clinically depressed. And then we're going to go out there and change the world on our own with our, good Lord. So, what we desperately need, and I mean desperately, because those are horrible statistics. What we desperately need is communities, support, and stop being the lone effing ranger and figure out how do we collaborate. Because the truth of the matter, and I'm going to use the digital internet marketing world right now. So right now, as we're having this conversation, there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 50,000 people trying to learn how to use Infusionsoft. Same goddamn thing. There's another 150,000 people trying to figure out how to learn ClickFunnels. There's another 150 people or 150,000 people trying to figure out what a webinar is. There's a whole bunch of people watching you right now, RJ, going, it's like, man, how did she book a Facebook Live ahead of time? And I mean, that's what's going on. And we have this incredible waste of resources and capacity reinventing the wheel, doing the same dumb damn thing, which is nothing more than a tool that's necessary for the business instead of serving our clients and making our unique contribution to the planet. So I can get in a little rant about this story.
I counted on it, Jay.
so here's the essence of it, is that JVology takes this position. Let's work together. Let's start putting our network, wisdom, resources, and experiences together to accelerate the outcome and the contribution and the connection that each of us as individual entrepreneurs wants and needs, and that our tribes want and need, so that we are profitable, we are having a ton of fun, and we are doing it in a manner that actually works for us, meaning that we are not part of that 80%, meaning that we sure as hell are not part of the 1/3 that's depressed, but we are truly and genuinely the world changers who are on the forefront of serving humanity. So that's it in a nutshell. We just want to serve and save humanity through this time of trials and tribulations. Not much.
Not much. Not a big deal or anything. I tell you, when I went to JVology, the thing that touched me the most was, as an entrepreneur, I'm constantly looking for software to cut out a little bit of my day. Constantly looking for, okay, how do I market my services? How do I pay Google, Facebook? How do I, get myself out there organically? All of these things. You know what I'd rather do is team up. I'd just so much rather team up with somebody I like, what they're doing. I know who they are. It is a day and night difference with the model, that you teach versus the model that we've just always sort of carried around in our heads, the bootstrapper,
Yes.
the John Wayne, I'm going to take over the world. I'm going to do it by myself. Yeah. And the thing is too, when I came home, I looked at digital marketing as a whole because it gave me a new perspective. And I thought to myself, I don't think Gary Vee did alone. You know what I mean? I don't think any of the people that we look up to were alone slaving away in the, in the ether for a million years and then suddenly overnight their successes. I think they had friends.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had friends who teamed up and said, let's do this together. And it's so simple. And it just made me want to smack my head several times. It's just so simple.
I want to just do two things. I see that Aaron, we have a catchphrase that we use at JVology Live, which is "We're better together," and she just put that in, and it is 1000% true. But the enlightened conscious thing to say is like, ooh, I would never go back and change anything because it made me who I am, and blah, 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 blah. Okay. But honest to God, if I could go back and change one thing, this is what it would be. It would be not to be such an independent dumbass, because I was certain, like, seriously, like, I truly and genuinely believed that the result didn't count if I didn't work really hard for it. The win wasn't worth it if I didn't sweat and pay a high price for it. And I judged, by the way, people who did it together because they were like those lazy assholes taking the simple route, when the truth of the matter is that the value in this is in the battle. And nothing could be further from the truth. That's just unconscious BS that I had bought and believed that, who I was and my greatest strength was my independence. And this is the thing I'd like for everybody to hear in terms of our entrepreneurs who are listening. Is that for most of us, our independence is perhaps our greatest strength. It's why we were courageous enough to become entrepreneurs in the first place. It's why we're not wandering around with a resume hoping somebody's going to pay us. It is our capacity to say, damn it, I'm going to make my own way. And if the way isn't there, then I will bulldoze the way and I will create it. Like, that's an incredibly, like, my hat's off. Like, I respect, love, and admire entrepreneurs for that, like you would not believe. But if you've ever heard that phrase, for many of us, our greatest weakness is nothing more than our greatest strength turned up too loud. And I think that's what happens for us as entrepreneurs, that we've got this great strength of independence, but we turn it up so loud that it actually becomes our weakness in the thing that keeps us small, isolated, and struggling.
And I think that isolated and struggling are synonyms. It's probably not listed in the dictionary that way, Jay, but I'll tell you the difference that it's made in my business to band together with people. It has been incredible. And it's only been a short time. And this was the end of September that I learned about all of this.
And by the way, I've seen you on Facebook Lives with all kinds of people from that room. Like, you've been moving and shaking, my dear. Like, really moving and shaking.
I think I wrote you in Messenger that I was joint venture dating 3 people by the time I left the room.
My wife and I have a smart ass thing that I won't say on air about that, but okay. I'm a fan of joint venture dating. Let's just say.
All right. Can you talk a little bit about the live stream that you're doing a little bit later today?
Absolutely. So here's one of the things that we do, and honest to God, like, I'm really proud of this. This is a process that I learned through a friend of mine, Suzanne Evans, and we've sort of brought it up a whole bunch of notches. And basically what we do is leading into any of our live events, we do a 3-hour live workshop. So this is a true workshop. I'm going to be actually teaching a bunch of content, some of which is related to what happens at JVology Live. Some of it is completely independent from that process. I run a couple of interviews, and we make an invitation for people to participate in JVology Live. And I'll give you a little subtle hint to this, is that why you should be on this live stream is that the invitation to JVology Live, which the regular tickets are $997, on the live stream alone, you can get them for free. It's that's called a hint. So even if you don't do that, those 3 hours are incredibly valuable, and I will teach you the foundation of what you need to be believing, thinking, and doing heading into 2019. Which, by the way, I just saw that you have a lava lamp in your back. That is so perfect that you have a lava lamp. So for Christmas, both our boys got lava lamps, and they just think they're the coolest thing ever. So yes, so. I don't know why I'm just suddenly noticing all this shit behind you. I think because I was just looking you in the eyes. But it's like you got Painter Dude's hair as a landscape. I don't know his real name, but what's Painter Dude's name?
Bob Ross.
Yes.
And wait one moment, please.
Okay.
My sister sent me this. Yeah, it's Bob Ross Chia Pet, everybody.
That's fantastic. So my father-in-law loved Bob Ross, loved Bob Ross. And my father-in-law has never painted anything his entire life, but he would watch, and every time Bob would do something, it's like, man, that guy's good. Man, that guy. Anyway, so that's so fantastic. Okay, sorry, back to this. And Yoda, I mean, you've got a whole little kaleidoscope of weirdness behind you that I am quite fascinated by.
I do. And you know what? You know what you taught me?
What?
There's a painting right over my head.
Yes.
That was given to me by a favorite artist of mine, Jen Belt. And so occasionally I will give her a shout out, and that is always present because you know what? Use your space to promote your friends.
Clearly.
You know? I learned that. I mean, I learned that from you. And I'm expecting to see some changes in that case.
Okay, sorry. I just totally got sucked in once I saw the lava lamp. I was like, anyway, I have no idea what we were talking about, my dear.
We were talking about the event that you're having a little later on today, and what folks are going to walk away with.
Yes. So 3-hour real workshop where I'm going to teach you a whole bunch of key ideas and things like what must I believe to make this shift from isolated and independent to connected and profitable. I'm going to teach you a bunch of, by the way, my cheat sheet for the outline of our show. I'm going to teach you something that we have a proprietary way of describing this is that most of the time people struggle with finding JV partners because they truly don't understand their client's journey. And we're going to teach something about what we call upstream and downstream and how you can, number one, identify where somebody fits on your client's journey so that you can frame and approach your prospective partners in a way that truly makes sense and in a way in which you contribute first. So I'll teach you the upstream, downstream, that one little thing. If you can land it, will change your life. And then we use that same concept to build something that we call the JV Top 20, which is why you must come to JVology Live. So we're going to put you in a room full of 100 people who are, number one, understand this. Number two, get the process. Number three, want to have a conversation with you about it. And you will leave with your JV Top 20 filled out, ready to roll, that will change your 2019. You will do more money off, seriously, you'll do more sales off your JV Top 20 next year than you will doing what you were doing for whatever the hell you were doing last year. And we do that all the time. And I'm going to introduce you to a bunch of my friends. So you and I have a mutual friend, Jane Powers, who, she rocked the 7-figure mark through using JVs, and I supported her at her event where you and I met. I'm going to introduce you to a buddy of mine, Ari, who is... Wyatt, when he was young, Wyatt's my oldest son. Wyatt called him the man with the super big head. And his head's about the size of my waist, to be frank. And he's a Canadian Olympian, wrestled in Beijing, China. And he's doing a bunch of very cool things in the JV world. So you'll meet him. You'll meet a brilliant dude named Alexander Ford. You'll meet Mary Frances, all of whom have recently, through our relationships, decided to shift their businesses to a JV model and have been having some pretty freaking epic wins. So the reason that I spend as much time telling you about who's going to be on there and why you should listen to them is that lots of times when I'm having these conversations, people sort of dismiss me. It's like, yeah, but you've been at it 30 years. Yeah, but you've got a monster list. Yeah, but you're a good speaker and you're on people's stages. Yeah, but I'm, all this stuff. So this collection of people that I'm bringing together, quite literally, Alexander was like anti-joint ventures. Like, that's just a waste of time. And that's, and then all of a sudden he's knocking it out of the park with joint ventures. So I don't care where you start with. There is a story and a practical case study and example where you can go, oh, I see how that might connect. So that's the essence of the show. So we're going to teach you. We're going to have a couple of fun interviews. We're going to have a bunch of giggles. I'm going to give you some specific action steps and tools to take away to immediately apply. And then I'm going to invite you to come to the JVology Live because, honest to goodness, those 3 days, will be the best 3 days of setting up your year, full stop. The dates, the details for the live stream workshop. Now, I think you have a funky link that my dear friend Kristen got you, yes?
You know that I do have a funky link, but I think you know where it's located. Everybody, listen. If you go to Black Belt Bots, the bot, right now.
It can't be in a bot, can it?
You know it's in a bot. If you're subscribed to Black Belt Bots and you go to it right now, Messenger, and you type JAY, type this man's name, then you will get the more information about the live stream that's going on at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 5 p.m. Central and 6 p.m. Eastern. You get more information about that. You get a link to that and a special gift from me because I want y'all to come to this live stream today. Listen, this thing changed my life. It is entirely. I don't know what happened there.
I don't know what I was doing my best Scooby-Doo impression. I don't know if it gets broadcast. But roll.
Ruh-roh is right. Let me start again. Listen, if you go to and if you're not subscribed, that's fine. Type in the word live. You'll get subscribed and you'll get reminders to these live streams. But once you're subscribed, just type in the word J. You will get the link to the live stream later on today. I'm going to be there because I have so much more to learn. Jay's going to be there because you know he's got to be there. And he will be doing what he does all weekend long at JVology Live, which is spout gold. Get a pen. Don't watch this without a notebook, but come to the live stream today. If you've ever suffered, and I know that some of you have, just like I have, with doing it alone, gotta blood, sweat, and tears this, or it ain't worth anything. I've got to do this alone. If you've ever wished that it could be different, it can be different.
100%.
It can be so very different, but you got to take a leap and you got to learn it. You got to at least listen to somebody talk about it a different way. Maybe you'll get some ideas that will change your life. Maybe I certainly have, but I never appeal this way to people because I only save it for things that I really believe in. And the guy virtually sitting next to me is that guy. Type J in Black Belt Bots. You'll get a free gift from me, the chatbot cheat sheet, and you will also get linked to this guy's live stream that I'll be at later today.
Beautiful. And the other thing I was just going to add to that is this is when we say live stream, it's actually live. And 3 times in our show, I take questions live from the audience. So there's a chat window there. You can actually post your questions. I will answer them live. And I want to be clear about this is that, other than coming to a weekend workshop with me or some version thereof, that's not something that really happens that often. I'm not necessarily that easy to get a hold of, quite frankly. So if you want that live support, and I will answer the real questions, I will do all of those pieces, get your butt on the live portion, and I will answer a bunch of questions actually on the show, and we can go back and forth, and I can make sure that I can connect the dots for you.
Absolutely. Boy, this has been great. Jay, I know that you have to split because you've got like some things to do before the show. And I want to thank you for taking time out on the day of and showing up and doing this with me, because I know that you had to sweep, really, you got a packed schedule. So thanks everybody. Thanks everybody for coming today. I'm going to stay on for a while. Jay's going to pop out, and I just thank you, Jay, for giving us some brilliance today. And thank you for just being you.
Cool. I appreciate you hosting me, number one. Number two, we'll talk later on the live stream. And if I could leave one little dangling participle.
You must leave a dangling participle.
My English teacher from high school would, Anyway, which is this. If you do not understand what upstream and downstream is in terms of the flow of your clients, change everything you've got going on this afternoon and get your butt there, because that one fundamental idea with a shift in belief about how to show up in terms of being a partner will change everything. utterly and completely everything. So this is not one of those things, oh, I should just catch it on the replay. This is better than that. This is more than that. And this will make a bigger impact than that. So come join us and have some fun. Thank you, Raj. I truly appreciate it. Love it. And by the way, I can't wait to hang out with you guys on the cruise. That is going to be freaking fun. I was just going through the list last night and it's like, whoo.
I'm very excited about the cruise. I've never done it before. But you said get there. And so I'm getting there, baby. And I can't wait to meet your family. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes. Well, my kids, I think, are going to pack their lava lamp. So you should probably bring yours too.
Clearly, a lava lamp needs to be there, present at all times.
All right, my dear. I got to
All
run.
right, my friend. Thank you. I know you got to split.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, yeah. So that's the deal, everybody. Wanted to interview him. I wanted to interview him because first of all, I knew he was doing his event today, but secondly, it's doing it alone sucks. Doing it alone has caused me so much. Independence has cost me a lot of pain in my life. You know what I mean? And it was just getting lifted out of that is a great thing, and it can be accomplished. So the workshop today is free, by the way. I don't know if he said that, but it's free. It's at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. And if you go to Messenger and you're subscribed to my bot, you type Jay in there, you'll get the link and you'll get the chatbot cheat sheet, a little free gift from me for doing that. What time is it for the UK? Well, my friend, it's probably 6 hours ahead of me or 7 hours ahead of me. So it'll be 11 or 12 at night in the UK. I hope that helps. Otherwise, worldtime.com will take care of you on that. I want to see if I missed any questions. I know that Jay didn't have a lot of time, so I didn't want to get into answering question by question. Know that he will be doing that tonight, though. He will be going question by question tonight because that's just how he does things. Want to see if I missed anything. What's the deets for the workshop live stream? Yeah, it's at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Eastern, and the link is in Black Belt Bots. So I'm gonna make you hunt a little bit. Very good. Yeah, that's about what I know for today. Thanks for watching today. I know this wasn't about bots. I know that you tune in and are interested in hearing about how bots are, how fabulous bots are. Let me tell you, they're fabulous. And, I will be continuing that, for sure. Just want to thank y'all again. And I'm probably going to sign off a little bit early cause, I got a little promotion to do, but thank you again. And if you're there tonight, I'll see you tonight. And if not, I'll see you in a bot.